Oh, hey, Dan.
Oh,
What's up, dude?
hey. Hello there, Jeremy. How are you doing tonight?
I'm
Today?
good. I'm just
Afternoon?
actually, yeah, I'm actually trying to figure that out. I'm setting my watch forward. Uh, I do this thing where it's 20 minutes a day for the next 3 days. I go forward every day, 20 minutes. That way that I don't have the shock of Monday morning.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. I really
Yeah,
appreciate that. Yeah, I really do appreciate that.
that's
That's
my
a
style.
smart thing to do.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. As always, we're going to do our thing and kill a little bit of time to let people jump on this stream by talking back and forth with some nonsensical stuff. But Jeremy, how you doing, man? Like, what's life like lately? It's been a month since we've seen everybody. I'm excited to be here, and we have some really fun new faces on the show tonight. I can't wait, man. This is going to be a good one.
Yeah, I'm Daniel. I'm just pretty deep in garage life. That little hashtaggy thing. I spend all my time here in my garage lately.
I think that sometimes you just have to spend time in your garage. Like, if you're not spending time in your garage, really, what are you doing with your life? If that makes
Yeah, I don't know.
that
Everybody else has their own bedroom in the house, but I don't have my own space. So what I got.
Well, it's good. It's good to see you. I'm glad to see a lot of people are starting to roll in. So pretty soon here, we're going to start bringing on some new faces. But before we get to that, I think we got our housekeeping to do. So lots of exciting things happening at the brewery lately. If you haven't swung by, we have an extended patio with some new shade. Our outdoor dining or service, if you would, is really popping off, and we're pretty excited. We just put two new, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but no, not the first time we've done them, but we just put two new seltzers on tap. So we have two new seltzers on draft right now. So kind of fun little exploration thing for us to do. And yeah, a ton of new beers just dropped today to the public. So I think actually one of them sold out. I'll let Connor talk about that when he jumps on. But also we have a Girl Scout cookie inspired beer that just dropped in cans. And then we have the one that sold out is Falls Further. Is that the name we went for? I think that's the name we went for. And yeah, it's going to be a fun night. So do you have any opening statement that you would like to make tonight, Jeremy?
No, not a statement. I have a question. Your digs look a little different, Daniel. You usually kind of have the same view of your living room. Where are you at?
Yeah, so usually as Dave Janikowski, shout out Dave, comments, I have a nice group of plants in my background, and it looks like I'm in a jungle. Tonight, I am over here in New Orleans at NOLA Brewing, hanging out with some friends, and we're going to bring some friends from NOLA on tonight to talk beers and talk about some of the collaborations we've done and some of the ones that we're going to do in the future. So should be a good time. Yeah, I'm pretty excited. I'm excited about it. So I think let's start bringing some faces on. I kind of want to start with the man because this is his month. He created this month. It's Pie Day. Pie Day on Sunday. Our resident pastry and cobbler and dessert expert, I guess, if you would, Connor. Let's bring him on. I'm ready to talk to him. Connor,
what's up, guys?
What is up, man? How have you been? What have you been up to? Tell us a little bit about pies and how you created this month of pies for the brewery, and let's remind everybody who you are, what you do, what your current favorite brewery beer is.
All right, I'm Connor, senior manager e-commerce. So I handle all the sales planning and getting the beer up for all you lovely people. I wouldn't say I'm a pie or dessert expert, but enthusiast maybe. A lot of a hobbyist, I guess you could say. But yeah, why not? If you're gonna make some dessert inspired beers, let's put them all out together. Let's have some fun. Got a cool little Pie Day archive sale running too. Some of our existing previous favorites that are mostly pie beers, but there's a couple cobblers in there. So yeah, it's a fun time if you like dessert beers. Good month for it.
Yeah, and if anybody hasn't seen yet, we threw up I don't know, like 15 pie inspired beers today on the site. So if you're interested
Yeah, yesterday.
if you
yeah, I
like
think
pie
it's
beers, now's the time to jump on thebrewery.com, get some pie beers, to the tasting rooms, get some pie beers, swing into the DC store, get some pie beers. It's pie month for us. So let's go pie happy.
Yeah, we got quite a few. Actually, Pie Happy, we had the 2018 Pie Happy up for Horton Reserve. That one's actually sold out. We also sold out of Falls Further. That was a little apple pie cocktail inspired one. So a couple beers gone, but there's still plenty to choose from. So yeah, I forgot to answer favorite beer from the brewery. I mean, it's tough to pick one, but I always have to go with the classic, the old Bruekeller Helles, baby. I'm actually about to open the terms. I haven't tried it yet, but I remember batch one being awesome. So
awesome, man. I guess we heard what you're drinking. Jeremy, what are you drinking?
I'm actually Connor's drinking the same thing as me. I love this little Helles. I figured I'd start. You know, when you eat a lot of pie and drink a lot of pie like I do, you like to start off light, you know. So that's kind of my thing. And Connor, you're one of the crustiest boys I know.
crusty.
I use that term. That's a term of endearment. The way I because Connor is just about one of the crustiest, crispiest, crumbliest dudes I've ever met. And this guy could tell you pretty much anything you want to know about a pastry, and it's quite remarkable. Quite remarkable, Connor.
I think that's a
lot of experience.
It's a good thing to note. So again, if you have any questions about the beers or about pastries and pies in general tonight, throw them in the comments. We'll pull them up. We'll answer them. And we're going to talk some pies tonight. But before we do that, let's bring on the next brewer, if you would, UER. Let's bring on a fresh new face. So first time on the live stream, but somebody you probably see around the tasting room, creeping behind the scenes in the brew house, our very own Val. So Val is I'm not going to say it. Val, you tell us, what do you do at the brewery? And what do you...
Hi, everyone. So I'm Val.
Daniel wanted to know is, what do you do when you're not creeping? When you're not creeping, what do you do?
So when I'm not creeping, you'll find me ripping on our fine beers. But my name is Val. I am content marketing specialist here at the brewery. So I create most of our photo and video assets, and I bring the good word to the people on social. So I'm the face behind all of the magic.
Fantastic.
And today I'm ripping Just a Kiss. So crack this bad boy open.
Fantastic.
Let's listen. Oh yeah. We gotta listen to the beauty here.
Do you hear Taru in there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, Just a Kiss is another one of our new beers for March. This is a seasonal beer for distribution. So this is a nice Foodorade Saison, inspired by the sunny, wonderful Southern California environment that we all get to live in every day, and a little bit of the history of the orange groves in Southern California. So it's using orange blossom honey and orange blossom flowers very subtly. That's why it gets the name Just a Kiss. Really, really fantastic beer. What do you think of it, Val?
I love it. It's right up my alley. So grab it if you can.
Awesome. Daniel, how you doing? You with us?
Did he lag?
Okay.
Oh no.
Which is fine because I think we've all been doing this for a while. We know how to have a good time, and we know how to share our beers. So, Daniel, if you can hear me, let's bring somebody else on.
How about, I don't know if he's having connection issues, but
Well, hello.
Also,
What's going on, Kelly?
another first. So everybody, welcome Kelly. Kelly's been with the brewery are we into the third week yet? Or
I'm wrapping up my third week.
yeah, there you go. So Kelly's managed to last 3 weeks with us. And I can tell you that I could tell you if you make it through week 3, you'll be here for a long time.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah, very good. We're fortunate to have you. Kelly, can you tell us what you do at the brewery?
Yeah, I am the junior production designer. So I assist our lead designer with creating all of the assets you see everywhere. So making posters for the tasting rooms, sales assets for the distribution end, all that kind of fun stuff. And joining virtual happy hours really last minute. It's all part of the job, I guess, apparently.
You want to tell us a little bit about what you did before the brewery?
Sure. So I am previously a freelance graphic designer working for just all kinds of clients across the spectrum of industries. I've worked in agencies before. I'm a graduate of Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. Yeah.
Awesome.
Excited to be a part of the team.
Cool. What was your favorite brewery beer before you started 4 weeks ago? And what's your favorite brewery beer?
Gotta say I was a big fan. I mean, miscellaneously, just like stouts. If I knew I needed a good stout, I was going to open one of the brewery bottles from my husband's cellar. But currently I'm drinking the Dunkel. So cheers to Hellas over there, kind of a same little family. Yeah, anything easy drinking is a good one for me.
Well, we've got a lot of folks on right now that are drinking easy drinking beer. And
Yep.
I don't think that'll last very much longer because we got a big
Easy drinking is hard, for sure.
Well, actually, one pie beer is subtle, but the rest of them are big.
Yeah.
All right, I think we got somebody else in the background we'd love to bring on. Daniel, not sure if you can hear us, but I think we got somebody else creeping in the background here. Well, Daniel's getting ready to pull.
Could it be?
Yeah, Daniel's getting ready to pull on the next person.
Hey!
There they are.
What's up, guys?
So everybody, welcome Sam. I'm sure he's a familiar face. If you haven't already met him or seen him at the brewery, you might have met him or seen him around the Orange County beer scene. But Sam, why don't you tell everybody what you do at the brewery?
Awesome. So I am one of the leads over at the original tasting room, and I just help pour beers and get things going. I'm just here for the good times.
Hell yeah.
All right.
What are you drinking?
I cracked open terms.
There you go.
We all know we need a 4.5 IPA.
Okay, Sam, being that you got terms, why don't you tell us about terms?
So terms is a session India Pale Ale. It is super drinkable. I think it's got this really nice mouthfeel. It's kind of a little bit, I don't know if there's like oats in there, but I feel like there could be some oats in there. It's really like, smooth on the mouth, which I really dig. Being 4.5, you can just crush them all day, you know?
Yeah, it's a totally different, a weird little beer style to do the hazy thing in a sub 5% beer. It's usually not what you're looking for, or what you're expecting, I should say. But it's kind of a welcome surprise to get a hazy IPA from the brewery that's not pushing 7%.
Oh, totally. And a lot of people like chase that ABV, but honestly, just because it's low ABV doesn't mean it's not full of flavor. Which I think this is super full of flavor, which is good.
Right. So I think these beers turned out really good. Give props out to Stephen Weber, who designed the new recipes for these beers. So a little bit different than the last time we did them 3 years ago, but the artwork's still good. So we went ahead and used it. So it looks great. Connor, I think we have to play in this pie world, and I think we're going to have to start talking about these beers.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if you might be the best person to take us for a little stroll through the pie world of the brewery in March.
Yeah.
Talk about the pie beers.
I think so. Well, I think so. I think let's get one of them out of the way, and then we'll talk about something else. But let's hear what you're hot on this month.
Yeah, so I think the one that that I have to take credit for a little bit is pi r square. Kind of a little. Jeremy says it's not a math joke, but it is a math joke. But it's also a play on the shape of the traditional shape of a pie. Can a pie be squared and still be a pie? You decide. But yeah, it's a great beer. It's really I think you can speak better to the blend, Jeremy, but I believe that's kind of a very much in the vein of Melange Noir. So we've got some like Black Tuesday anniversary and some barley wine in there. And then to that we added, went really heavy on the berries. We wanted it to be a very like deep dark berry. So we kicked around a lot of ideas, but we kind of went with like some deep dark berries. So we did huckleberries and blueberries, and then wanted it to maybe have a bit of that. Maybe it's not really the pie, but it's the pie filling, what goes in the square or the circle. And so we added a lot of vanilla to really sweeten it. It also maybe imitates a little bit of like an a la mode concept to it. So maybe a piece of cobbler is great with some ice cream on top of it. You can do that with pie too, I guess. But yeah, it's really cool. It tastes, it's really, if you're looking for a berry beer, it's very berry. It's right there. It's up front. But yeah, it's a great beer. People are loving it. All the feedback I've heard so far has been great on that beer. One of the most popular beers this month. So yeah, that was a fun concept. Jeremy and I, what was this, like 6 months ago now? We kicked around a lot of ideas before we landed on this, and I think the execution was great, and the beer's been really good so far, really popular.
Yeah, so I think Connor's correct. I mean, the direction was blue fruit for sure. Not red fruit. Not your typical strawberry and raspberry flavors, and certainly not your black fruits such as boysenberries, blackberries, and the currants and whatnot. Even though I know there can be red currants, so don't get me there. But that was kind of the direction. And then, as Connor said, like so often when we do pie beers, we not only use fruit, but pie spicing is really big. And sometimes we'll do a pie beer without a fruit presence and just a pie spicing presence. We kind of wanted to buck that system and kind of leave cinnamon out of this one and really like lean into as Connor said, the pie filling. And there's a lot of differences. The joke is, is a square pie a pie, or is it a cobbler? That's the whole joke, but really the absence of crust and the absence of crumble and the absence of crisp and all that stuff kind of leaves you with the filling, which is, in my mind, granted, I'm not the resident expert, Connor is, but in my mind, the meat in the middle of a cobbler and the meat in the middle of a pie, by meat I mean berries in this case, is the same to me, Connor.
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
Yeah.
Hey, whoa.
Sort of. I mean, pie you're really doing a filling. Cobbler, you kind of throw it all together. But yeah, it's similar vein. It's some fruit and some sweet stuff.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Fruit and a lot of sugar.
So we have
Daniel, are you live with us? Can you hear
I
us?
think I'm back, dude. I can hear you now. Can you guys hear me? I think I'm back. I'm back. So I want to bring on another guest. So I'm out here at NOLA Brewing. I want to bring on Derek from NOLA Brewing. He's gonna try these beers with us. And there's sour.
Wow.
Let's bring on Derek. Derek,
Hey,
man, how's it going? Tell us who you are, what NOLA Brewing is all about, and what are you drinking right now?
Sure. I don't know where my can went. I forget what I'm drinking. It's the one with all the surprise images in it.
It's either turns or
That's behind the scenes only.
So I'm Derek. I'm the director of Funk over here at NOLA Brewery. I do all the sour and the wild beers. So me and Keith and Jeremy get along real well. Also mostly because Keith's from around here. So I've known Keith for a long time. But yeah, NOLA Brewery, we've been around. This was going to be about this time of year is usually our anniversary, so it would have been 13 years this year. We just decided with COVID and all that, there's no reason to have an unlucky 13 anniversary, so we skipped a party this year. But yeah, we were the first brewery back in New Orleans after Katrina, and we've been, kind of just going with the flow and growing the beer scene in Louisiana ever since we started. It's, that was kind of what got me into homebrewing when I was when I was first in New Orleans, was the traveling to, California, Colorado, tasting the beers out there, and coming back here and having absolutely nothing to drink. So we had to make it ourselves, and we've built a little bit of a good beer scene finally these last 13 years. It's been pretty nice.
Hey, can you tell us about Keith? Tell us about your relationship with Keith, how you guys met, and how you guys used to spend time.
So I knew Keith from the Crescent City Homebrewers Club. So we both knew each other as homebrewers, and made a bunch of some good, some mediocre beers together in that group. And then when NOLA started up, before I worked here, I know Keith volunteered here at the brewery for a short while when he was living out here before he went to Abita. And then about the time he was at Abita was when I started here. So we still kind of stayed in touch while we were both went from home brewers to commercial brewers. And then he went out into California, and the rest is history with you guys. But because of that relationship we've had, I've gone and visited you guys out there several times. So I think we've done 3 collabs together. Yeah. And then sometimes we just drive crawfish out. So, we right. Do it both ways.
Yeah, I think that's the other big thing. Derek, his brother, and a handful of other friends in that neighborhood there have remained very close to Keith, and over the years we've hosted some employee crawfish parties, and these guys have all come out and done the crawfish cook-off for us, and it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool to actually, as a bunch of Southern California kids, to be led through the crawfish experience, because I'm pretty sure we would just mess it up and do it the wrong way. So it's pretty cool to have you guys take care of us that way. Bring a little bit of that.
It was pretty fun to see people put on latex gloves to peel crawfish.
What are you saying about us, man?
It was also pretty funny, that Keith went through all the restrooms, and especially near the urinals, posted, wash your hands, before UP signs and whatnot. So he saved a lot of us from trouble, really.
Gotta wash your hands twice.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's drink some beer. So I kind of dipped out for a second. I'm sorry. Having some Wi-Fi issues. I'm good now. What did we already talk about? And let's do something else. It sounded like we talked about Pyro Square, because that's the whole reason Connor's on the show tonight.
That's the only reason. So I can go now, right?
Bye.
Yeah. Now put your AirPods back in. So let's keep going. I think Pyro Square was a big place to start. We have a lot of new beers this month, but next up, I kind of want to talk about maybe. I know Val's drinking Just a Kiss, so let's talk about Just a Kiss. Jeremy, why don't you give us a little bit of a quick what the hell is Just a Kiss, and then I want to have Val and Cal. I want to have the newcomers, Val and Callie. What do you think about? I don't know if Callie has the beer on her, so maybe I won't put her on the spot. But Val's definitely getting put on the spot right now.
Yep. So that is the part. Just bringing you up to date, Daniel. We did talk about Just a Kiss. We used Val drinking it to kind of plate that beer up. We also talked about Terms, because Sam was drinking that beer, and then we talked about Pyro Square. So those are the 3. But just to give you what you want, because Daniel is a marketing guy. The Just a Kiss, as I said earlier, is a very, very nice, subtle beer. It's a Foodorade Saison that's out in broad distribution. It's a seasonal beer for us. It's a perfect beer for springtime. It's a very nice, subtle Fooder beer coming out of Chiru. That's not sour, but it is drinkable and a little bit funky. It's really fine, nice beer, and as I said earlier, really, really perfect springtime beer.
Okay, well, awesome. I didn't know I missed so much. Then let's keep moving. Let's go on to the next beer. I want to talk about Falls Further because there's an amazing story, and there's kind of a lineage on this beer, right? There was Falls. What was it? Apple Sap.
Apple Falls Far.
Apple Falls Far. Falls Further. So this is a really amazing package, a really cool, unique hybrid of a beer, I guess we could call it.
Yep.
I want to let Jeremy do his thing because a production guy, right? Let him talk about the beer, do what he's got to do.
Let me talk. So Falls Further, you're right. It is a lineage. It is part of a family and a lineage of beers that we've been making. So we started playing around with, doing co-ferments with apples. And that kind of led itself into a beer called Apple Sap about 2.5 years ago, I believe. We're really, really proud of that beer, and so much so that when we're tasting out of barrel, we knew that beer was something special. But also when you have a new base beer, something that almost over delivers on your concept and expectations, it leads you to having other ideas of what to do with it. So one of the batches we decided we wanted it to be a lot sweeter than Apple Sap. Apple Sap's a very sweet beer, but we wanted this to have probably twice as much residual sugar. And that's where Apple Falls Far comes from. So Falls Further is a play on words of, going past the Apple Falls Far, but they're both kind of, concepted at the same time. And the story goes as such. We were all in Denver for the last TBC that was in Denver. And as we do as brewers and colleagues, and in other words, you don't need to be a brewer to share your thoughts or be inspired by something. But we're all as a group, we're all hanging out, and we knew we had these apple projects that were in barrel, but we didn't really have a concept. We knew what we wanted to kind of do, but we hadn't found the exact inspiration to finish the beer. So throughout a night of drinking, as I tend to do often, especially when I'm traveling, and I don't usually drink a lot of beer when I'm traveling. I will imbibe in cocktails. So we were on search for apple cocktails. It was the theme of the night, and as I've said several times, you probably see it in a video somewhere. I remember specifically going downstairs to go into a bar. And there's not a lot of bars in Denver where you go from street level down into the bar. So I probably could find this bar again, although I do not know the name of it.
I remember the bar. I know this bar.
Well, I remember the inside, and I remember going down the stairs, but I don't remember coming back up the stairs. But you may ask yourself, well, if you don't remember coming up the stairs, how do you remember what you learned while you were downstairs? Well, the old iPhone, took some pictures of some of the cocktails we were drinking and cocktail menu and whatnot. So that's where we came up with Falls Further. But also, while we were there, I had this cocktail served in a little gin, like a gimlet glass, if you will, martini-looking glass. It was this gin apple pie sour kind of cocktail, So it had gin in it, obviously. It had apple juice, so fresh apple juice, and then it had cinnamon, and I think, if I remember correctly, it might have had a little lemon wedge or something. So anyway, that was the inspiration for Falls Further. We wanted to create this gin apple pie sort of cocktail beer, but at the same time, we wanted it to be very subtle and drinkable because unlike the brewery cocktail beers, we don't have ABV as a big component of the beer. So when you're aging something in a bourbon barrel or something, it's much easier to get kind of that cocktail flavor going. So this one, we wanted it to be purely drinkable, like a sessionable beer, but also have a good apple presence. And then Keith gave it a very, very subtle cinnamon dosage. So it has a little bit of pie flavor, but it's not overwhelming. It doesn't taste like a piece of pie. It actually just tastes like a summer cider. So that's kind of what we were going for. So it is a cider hybrid, and it was aged in gin barrels. So that gives you the gin component. And then, that subtle cinnamon. So it's a really fantastic little beer. sorry if I spoke too much, but that's kind of like the story of those two beers.
No, I think that was really great. I have a good question here, and this is actually something, Mr. Dave Janikowski, that we talked about in depth because we weren't sure further versus farther.
Yep.
And so we decided on further, and correct me if I'm wrong, marketers, but further is metaphorical, and we're a deep team here, and we like to really get involved in the process of the beer. So farther just felt like a physical distance, and we're not about that. We're all about like metaphorically and just as a vision for the product, it falls further and not farther.
Yeah,
I think that's
Well,
where
I think we also in the apple pie cocktail concept, we went further with Falls Further than we did with Apple Falls Far from Apple Sap. If you consider that the beginning, Apple Sap or Ancho Roof, we went a little bit further.
Oh man!
I have to say that I stayed out of that conversation. I knew it was going to be quite the argument.
It really is, and
the decision was made without me.
I don't want to hype this up, but we have a really great content piece coming out this weekend where Jeremy and Connor argue about pastry concepts and what makes a pastry and a pie. So it's going to be fun. I think it's exactly this conversation, but regarding pastries. So I'm really excited for that one. Let's keep going though. I mean, Falls Further. Amazing beer. I mean, Sam has a look on his face like he wants to say something about this beer. So let's get turn off your mute. I see you. Turn it off. Tell us.
One of my favorite things is on the can. It says never kettle soured.
Yep.
I think a lot of people don't understand that it takes a lot of work to get good sours, and like, I don't know, it just shows that we're like taking the extra step to do it right, which I think is really cool.
I think that's something that I think it actually ties into the further and farther conversation. Like as a brewery, we do care about the details, right? it's definitely maybe it takes longer, but it's always worth it. I like the commentary. I appreciate the chime in. Sam, you're picking what we're talking about next. What's next, dude?
Oh.
And you know what? You lead the conversation.
Seconds.
I'm going to talk, dude. You lead the conversation. This is your time to shine.
I think we should stay lighter side, stay sour. So we didn't go into full detail about Just a Kiss, right?
Yeah, we did.
Twice.
All right, I'm taking over.
Pardon me, I'm having an allergy day.
I love the beer. I'm happy to talk about it.
Let's do it 3 times. 3rd time's the charm.
Let's take Just a Kiss a little further.
Let's do
I think before we move on, I got a good question from Jay Tice on YouTube. He says, gin barrel aging seems to add a lot to beer. Is that something as exciting to the brewers as it is to the drinkers? Will we see incorrectly spelled Teru, multiple medal award-winning facility brewery use gin barrels? I can't speak to that exactly, but I think that Jeremy, as a production guy, I think you're the
Yep. So yeah, actually, gin barrels are fantastic, and we have been using them on the Teru side to build some cocktail-inspired beers. I just brought some in for some use on a new project for the brewery next year. So yes, you will see them, and I'll give you a hint. It's spelled Black Tuesday, if that helps. So. But yeah, we have a plan to throw out a little cool little gin experiment for Black Tuesday, and I actually got some really interesting gin barrels. I got some spice gin, and some previous Zinfandel gin barrels. So some really cool stuff. I think we're gonna see here, next year for the brewery.
And yes, I'm sorry, Jay.
Source like that. People when they use gin barrels, are they usually drink the spirit in them before? Usually.
Yeah, usually they're not virgin barrels. On occasion, there are some distilleries that do that, But if you think about gin, gin is usually a clear spirit. Anytime you see it when it's not, that's barrel contact. But generally speaking, I would say, and I have no reference for this number, but I would probably say less than 2% of gin actually ever sees a barrel. So gin barrels are really hard to find. And then there's all kinds of different quality of gin barrels. So sometimes gin, when it goes to barrel, it only goes into barrel for a couple months. So really what you want to find from a gin barrel is you want to find a producer that actually ages the gin in the barrel for a year or more. And that's where you really get that flavor. And then there's all the different styles of gin, right? So I mentioned I bought in some gin barrels. I got some spice gin barrels. So those are like really, really heavy juniper and like rosemary and some of these other like aromatic spices. So anyway, there's a lot of different stuff there, but there's not a huge gin barrel market out there. And I think Derek would probably agree with that. That you can find them, but you're not going to get a truckload of gin barrels. Like that doesn't exist.
The first time I was offered gin barrels, I was thrown back. I was like, I'm pretty sure gin's a clear spirit.
Right,
What are you trying to sell me here?
Yeah.
But yeah, and then when I finally figured out it was, and I was interested, they were already sold. So.
Yep. So have you ever worked with any?
No, never.
Cool. Well, that should be our next project out there.
Yeah, well, I mean, I really loved our last cocktail beer we did. That worked out really well. I don't do too many of those, so that's always fun to play with when I try.
Right.
Are we talking 75? 75?
Yeah,
75. That was.
Why don't we talk about that beer, because I think it might show up in some archive sales in the next few months. But let's talk about what's 75. How do we make that? What's going on with that beer?
Love that beer.
So the French 75 is just a cocktail that you can get in a lot of the old New Orleans bars. So it's a champagne-based cocktail, and then we just it was citrus, and then I actually did. So I did a road trip from New Orleans out to the brewery and did 3 collaborations. The third being at the brewery, but the whole trip was cocktail collaboration. So it was a really, really great road trip. Took longer than the normal road trip, so we didn't bring crawfish, but it worked out. And we brought an artist with us as well, and she painted the barrels that we aged the beers in, and those paintings became the inspiration for the label. So it was a really fun collaboration, but it was also just a really cool experience and experiment.
Yeah,
Actually, sorry, quick interjection between the conversation, but I did stop into her the studio, or like her space today, and it was pretty cool to see like how that art was translated across like from New Orleans, and then we have it in California on the barrels and on the labels. Like it's pretty neat.
Yeah, no, it was certainly neat, and it's a beer, similar to Imperial Cabinet when we first made it, where it never saw gin barrels, but it had all the gin botanicals in it that gave it all of the flavor of a gin. And Derek's right; it was kind of a unique experience at Cheru when these guys were here, because as Derek said, his friend Monica, her name's Monica, right?
Monica Kelly.
Yeah, Monica Kelly was there, and then you guys brought another friend with you. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, Jeff. He was DJing.
Yeah. So basically we took Monica over with some big punch-ins at Cheru, and so she was doing aerosol spray paint work that she does, and then this guy Jeff set up his DJ equipment, and he was spinning in the tasting room there at Cheru, and it was quite the unique collaboration experience for us. Like we've never done anything like that, and haven't done anything like that since, and it was pretty cool. I almost wish it was 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock midnight. We were all drinking and having a
Well, that was what I thought was so fun about it. Is so Jeff's really just playing to the people who are working. Oh, awesome!
Yeah.
For reference,
One guy came into the bar right when it opened up at like noon, and he's like, "Do you guys do this every Thursday?"
Yeah, no, it was quite the unique experience. It certainly wasn't lost on us how special that was.
Yeah, I know Monica. She does a lot of my funk labels for me, and so it was great to meet up with her.
Yeah, it was fantastic. So anyway, as Daniel said, it sounds like that beer might come available again. So if you're hearing about it for the first time or whatnot, you should check it out. It's pretty interesting beer. And if you like a French 75, and I don't know why you wouldn't, because it's a fantastic little cocktail. Like, yeah, get that thing.
All right, let's keep this thing going. I kind of want to, Derek. I don't know what you have in your space to try, but I kind of want to.
Whatever you open, I'll just walk over there.
Well, let's do. These are big. Let's do. So this is a big month. All these beers are massive. Why don't we? I kind of want to go to Melange Noir just because I think it's one of the most interesting beers we've done this year, if that makes sense. So let's do some Melange Noir. If you have it, open it, pour some. Let's talk about it. And while we're waiting for everyone to pour about it, I kind of want to talk to Kelly a little bit more about like what her like. So label design and like branding in beer is such a huge thing. So tell me a little bit about your process. And I think what people are always interested to hear. And like, so Kelly does like a little bit of animation, a little bit of label design. She's super talented. What's your tool stack? What do you use? Let everybody know, because there's a bunch of aspiring beer label designers. Yeah. What do you use in your game?
So I mean, it's been interesting transitioning from like doing whatever, you know, I kind of want to do as a freelancer to like working into the existing kind of lineup at the brewery. And so a lot of Adobe products, like earlier I was making some little GIFs for Instagram. So get excited for that. If they ever decide to go through, people, they're on their way. But my like stack for that is I am animating it in After Effects, and then I have to export it through Media Encoder, and then I bring it into Photoshop, and then I bring it and, you know, like design things in Illustrator in the first place. So like full Adobe suite pretty much every day. Every single app is open, and I'm shocked my computer isn't super mad at me for that. But yeah, other than that, I like to do a lot of with my hands. So I have, you know, my iPad, and I'll do a lot of like sketches beforehand just to like get ideas out in a less like confined method. I don't know. I'm also like weirdly a spreadsheet person. So I like to plan things out in spreadsheets. I've been making lists in Slack. Like, I don't know. I like to me, like, it's not just, you know, the actual creative outputs. It's also like how you plan and communicate about those things. So it's fun to have the full variety.
I think that's pretty cool. And one of the other things I want to touch on is like, so yeah, Creative Suite, everybody uses it. What's your like secret, like what's your one tool that nobody knows about that you're using, and you can give some light to people on it?
Probably the most recent, not that no one knows about it, but it's relatively new. But Adobe just released Illustrator for iPad, so that's been really fun to play with and work with. So it's, you know, the same like pen tool, vectors and everything, but with the control of an Apple Pencil. So that's been really fun to play with. I worked with that for some upcoming bottle art I got to do, which was very fun. But yeah, so it's fun.
What bottle was that, if I may ask?
Can I say that? Can I say that? Because a couple.
Say what you've been working on.
Yeah, so it's for Natty L'Orange, which is kind of a follow-up to Natty Noir, which came out recently, before I started working here, which couldn't be any amount of time. But yeah, so that one's really fun. We're excited to play with some transparency and a fun beer color and everything, so it'll be cool.
Nice.
Kind of in the same
Fingers
space.
crossed. Haven't seen the first yet, but
before we move on to talking beer, Val, I mean, I think social media in beer is one of the like coolest spaces to work in. So what are your secret weapons? Like what's your tool stack like, and what's the one thing that makes your life easier for all those aspiring social media guys out there? People?
I can't give out my secrets, Daniel. But truly, I think the biggest secret is understanding the algorithms, outsmarting the computers. I think that's one of the biggest challenges. Yeah, I can do it. Thank you, Connor. I'd like to say that I'm a fellow crusty boy and I believe in myself, but yeah, figuring out the algorithms has definitely been one of the biggest challenges. Definitely keeping us on our toes, but creatively is just having a vision and making it happen. I don't really have a certain tool that is like a secret, because anybody can get Adobe Creative Suite, but if you have the vision, you can execute it. So.
All right, let's talk beer. Melange Noir, this is brewery through and through. This is like, when you think about the brewery, Melange Noir is probably a beer that like should sit at one of the top notable like production pieces we put out in the last 3 years. Jeremy, as a production guy, can you tell me a little bit about this beer? What is it? And then I want everyone to give us their notes on it. Sam, Connor, Derek, what do you guys think about it? But first, let's start with our very own Jeremy.
Yeah, so Melange Noir is, essentially Melange 16 or Melange 17 or something. We stopped doing the number, the thing with Melange a number of years ago, and since then, we hadn't produced a new Melange beer. But Melange for us is, it's a style of blending certain base beers that we have, and every once in a while we'll create a new base beer just for a blend. And this is an example of that. So Melange Noir originally was included in our Hoarders small box or small batch box, and to great fanfare as well. And it's just a beer that's built on barrels and blended. There's no adjuncts in it. That you're not gonna get. If you're getting any kind of chocolate, it isn't from cacao nibs. It's from malt. If you're getting any vanilla in or anything, it isn't from vanilla beans. It's from the barrels. So it's really just a really a beer that if it's good because of the execution. It's not good because of the stuff we put in it. So it's a fantastic little beer, and as Connor mentioned earlier, we were talking about Pi R Square. Melange Noir is using a blend of brewery beers, and one of those beers is Black Tuesday. Another one of the beers is our anniversary old ale or barley wine, and then we have a new barley wine that we brewed exclusively for this beer. So the other barley wine isn't released anywhere else. It's just for this beer, and I think it's a really fantastic beer that like I said, that's void of any other characteristics that isn't true brewery house barrel house flavor. So it's a very, very straightforward beer, but a very complex beer.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I kind of want to hear Connor's thoughts on this beer. Give us your tasting notes, dude. Yeah. Give us a sensory.
Yeah. I'm not currently drinking the beer, but I have had it, and it's a really good beer. I mean, I saw in the comments Brian was talking about bringing back Melange 3. This one's really in that sort of same lane to some extent. Melange 3 was Black Tuesday and Anniversary plus White Oak Sap. So you're just subbing the White Oak Sap for barley wine on this one. But I think it's a really, really cool beer. You obviously get a lot of the barrel notes. We're not hiding anything with adjuncts. I think one of the coolest things is obviously they're not the same beer, the same barrels that we're blending. But if you compare Melange Noir to Pi R Square, how much the adjuncts really kind of take over this beer and make it something completely different. I think it's a really interesting comparison because we're really talking about very similar base blends on these things, and I think letting the beer speak for itself sometimes is a really cool thing to do. And I tried that beer out of the tank last time I was there, and it's really good. It's a great blend. So yeah, if you're looking for a Melange 3 fix, this is probably the closest you're going to get for now. But yeah, it's great beer.
That's good to hear. I like your input. Before we move on to Derek's kind of tasting notes, I kind of want to hear, Connor, what your beard treatment process is, because that's looking good, man. Like, geez.
Beard treatment?
Yeah. Do you like
not a lot.
Oil, the wax guy? Like, what's going on?
I got some oil. I don't remember what the name of it is, but I put a little beard oil in there. But mine doesn't go anywhere. It just kind of clings to my face. This is a year of growth, man. It just it's thick, but it doesn't hang. It doesn't go anywhere.
That was a weird way to phrase that.
Yes.
Derek, tell us
Sorry.
tell us a little. What do you think of the beer? You came over, you grabbed some. What do you think about it? Give us your take.
It's great. I don't have the bottle in front of me. I don't know anything about it except for what I've heard, and it's really cool to hear that there's not much in there because it's really like deep and complex. You got a lot of fruit notes, just like raisiny, dark fruit, but then the barrel components, a little bit of like vanillin, a little char. It's got a lot of depth to it. I really enjoy it. And when I first tried it, I was trying to figure out what was in it, and it's good to hear there's nothing in it.
Not a damn thing. Just beer and barrel.
Yeah, it's excellent.
Sam feels like I'm just seeing him twitch a little bit. Like it looks like he's got something to say. Sam, what's going on, dude?
Dude, I'm actually really digging this. I like that it's like, I feel like people who aren't masters at the barrel process tend to bottle beers when they're really hot, and I feel like this is not hot at all. Super drinkable. It's not too sweet. I think sometimes when you have barrel aged beers like this, they tend to be really sweet. I feel like this is like sessionable for how high it is.
Yeah. What is the ABV? What is the brewery sessionable?
16.6%.
That's sessionable for you guys. Yeah.
Sessionable. That's a light day at the office.
All right, let's keep going. I mean, it's getting late. Everyone's starting to light candles. It's like the mood is changing. I think we should move on to Romance Revisited. This isn't Connor's beer, but he knows all our beers. So I actually want to hear him talk a little bit. Like, what is Romance Revisited? What do people think about it? What do you think about it, Connor? Let's hear it.
Romance Revisited.
Revisited.
Yeah, I think it's another really great beer and a great expression of fruit. There's a lot of stone fruit in that beer. We've got cherries, kumquats. I forget what else is in there. Nectarines. It's a really fruit forward, stone fruit heavy beer. I remember back before I worked here when I was just a lowly member, and that was like they had the Culture Club series at Taru that kind of like opened the doors, and it was a bunch of experimental stuff that they were doing, and I believe that one was a beer where they were experimenting with some cultures, but then they also had some like second use fruit from some old projects, and it became like a really interesting beer that people liked. I know Jeremy can speak to it specifically, but I think he said this one came back around because his neighbor was like, "Hey, I had that beer and it was amazing. I'd love to drink it again." And Jeremy's like, "All right, let's put it on the calendar. Let's make a beer." So yeah, I think that's a really good. It's a great version of like our sour blonde beer. We've done, a lot of different iterations with that in the past, and this one's a really, really good one. It's the first time we've done this in like a full release, so it's cool to see something that's, I guess at this point, like 4 or 5 years old, come back around. It's a really cool beer. I enjoy it. It's super, super stone fruit. It's got the pithiness to it from the kumquat. There's not a lot of kumquat beers out there, but they're always great for springtime. I love a kumquat beer.
Hear me.
Yep.
Tell us the story, dude. It sounded like a story. I feel like
he's right. I mean, honestly, we were, last July, Keith and I were arguing in my office as we often do. We're trying to find out the beers for 2021, and kind of hitting a wall. Not wanting to do oud tart with cherries and sour in the rye with kumquats, and not wanting to repeat the easy stuff, but wanting to find inspiration for the new ideas, and as I said, hit the wall, and I think that was over a weekend. I was out kind of drinking a Coors Banquet in my front yard and my shorts with no shirt on, kind of watering the grass as I like to do, and showing off myself, to my neighbors, and
guns,
showing off, the gun show in the front yard. But just kind of watering the grass, and one of my neighbors came by, and I'm friends with their dad. She's younger. She's probably early 20s, but she had been to one of our anniversary parties a couple years before, and she just happened to mention to me, my favorite brewery beer ever was like Romance Revisited, and I'm like, what? Like, I don't even remember the beer. And she was like, yeah, you remember you used to do these beers? It was all like, they're all named after Culture Club songs, like the band Culture Club. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember that. And so I went and I looked it up on Untappd because that's the only way I could remember what was in it. I looked it up and I was like, oh, yeah. And I came in on Monday and I was telling Keith, I'm all, see, dude, my neighbor told me about this beer. We're going to make this beer. And he's like, how are we going to make that beer? That beer was all like second used fruit. It was all like just stuff we had in the cellar, and we put something together. And I'm like, well, it'll be better. It'll be better now because it won't be like second use. It won't just happen, which, as we all know, sometimes things that just happen are always better than things you try to do. But anyway, there's Keith in the background. But that's what I was telling him. I was like, look, here's the thing. Like, maybe we should just look back at things that we thought didn't mean anything, and let's resurrect a couple of those things. Because when you're sitting and racking your brain and trying to come up with 40 new beer ideas, you don't just get 40 new ideas like that. You might get 5 this week and 1 next week, but this is how it happens. Like, not every idea can come directly from my brain or Keith's brain or anybody on the screen. We need to have people like plant some seeds, and I think that's a good example of how that beer came back to life. And I personally can't wait to like drop her off a couple bottles and just be like, hey, look what we did, and it's only because you brought it up. So
I think it's great insight. In the spirit of romance, I do want to. Val spent a lot of time working on this. I just want to show it.
That's
Right.
so bad. Right. Well, you gotta show Jeremy's too. You can't just single me out, man.
This is what I do.
What about theirs?
This is what I work hard on.
We should hear a little bit about Keith. Tell us about Romance Revisited, man. What do you think about Romance Revisited?
I think it's fun. I think there had to be what Jeremy was talking about before I came in. I think just like being able to take a couple different projects and make it into something really fanciful is fun. And kind of like what we do at the brewery is try different things and really make it work. And honestly, the most fun with this project was going back and visiting what we've done in the past and making use of newer. Thanks, Dave. Love you too, buddy.
I was about to give you gravity ears, but I held back.
So like basically just doing like some like fresh fruit, and the kumquats I think are really coming through on it. And honestly, for me, the kumquats were more of a fun project than anything, because this was more of a fresh kumquat beer.
Yeah.
And I know we have similar kumquats, similar climates. Sorry. But I absolutely love working with kumquats. Like, they're my favorite citrus to work with because the peel, not only do you get the great citrus, but you get that like sweetness that comes with the kumquat peel, and all that oil that goes along with it. I remember my first kumquat beer I made. It was Kumquat Nightmares was what we did. It was just a taproom only beer, and Polly from Avenue Pub wanted a keg, so we had to, go through the federal label, BS. And I got into an argument with the feds about whether a kumquat was an orange or not, and I finally just gave up and called the beer Orangey Glad I Didn't Say.
Yeah, there you go.
Let's keep going. We got to keep moving. So we have a few more beers, and they're going to get big. So if you're going to open beers with us, now's the time to do it because it's going to get big. I think I want to go to.
Wait, Daniel. Would you say they're bigger than your head?
Yes, they're bigger than my head. I'd like to move. I'd like to move on to. Shut up, Val.
Low hanging fruit.
Let's move on to. I think it's time for Thin Mint GSC. So this is a pretty fun beer. Publicly available since yesterday. Went online yesterday. So it's inspired by a special cookie that's or maybe a strain. I don't know which. It's inspired by things that we've all enjoyed in the past. And there's a pilot beer that we did called Grasshopper Stout maybe a year ago that led into this bourbon barrel aged version of it essentially. But Thin Mint GSC, let's talk about it.
I'd like to start out by saying that a cookie is just a pan pie. Like a sheet pie. You know, like they're little pies that without when you make, I mean, think about it, if you put a pie on a cookie sheet and cooked it, that wouldn't work. That's why you have to.
I mean, a hand pie is a little fried pie. That's a specific thing.
Yeah,
But that's not a cookie though.
no, this
Is it a pie crust?
Girl Scout tiny little mint chocolate pies that they sell. They come in a box, but they're little pies like this
Little
big.
pies.
Yeah, crunchy pies.
Connor, I mean, I think we always go to Connor every time we have some sort of dessert, pastry, baked question. Like, what's the verdict? Give us the verdict.
I'm gonna say no pie.
Would you say pie crust?
Pie crust? What about pie crust? Could you make a cookie out of pie crust? Is that what you're asking?
It's like a halfway pie.
Yeah, because like, sometimes they do
No.
thin mints and they crack them all up and they make a crust out of it and then put.
But
Like
Yeah.
you're not making a cookie with pastry dough. I mean, you could, but that's still a cookie. It's not a pie.
I mean, should we?
I have a great comment in our comments, and I actually want to get Connor's thoughts on this. A brownie is a type of cookie.
Yeah, I guess.
That's
I don't know. If you want to call it a cookie. I'm not a brownie guy, so you're getting out of my wheelhouse.
No, it's a
Or
cake
is
pie.
it more of a pie? Because it is in a dish. It does rely on the dish.
It doesn't have a
Shape.
crust though. There's no crust.
Oh,
It's
no.
a cake pie. If
Is
you
Is
cook,
it a cobbler or crisp?
Yeah.
if you cook brownies correctly, there is a crust. It's called a cake pie. That's what
Yeah, but
brownies
it's
are.
not a pastry crust. It's not a separate crust
That
from
doesn't
the
mean-
filling.
that doesn't mean anything. What you said, because you can make a pie with Oreo cookies as the crust.
Yeah, okay. I didn't say it had to be pastry dough, but you still have a crust. You're not pouring the brownie batter into anything. You're just pouring it into a pan and cooking it.
If you could take a cookie and make a crust out of it, then a cookie is a crust. So it's a pie.
In case
back
anyone
that.
wanted to know
No.
what our staff meetings look like.
So a
This is getting
graham
out of
cracker is a
getting out of
pie.
control. Let's talk about the beer.
What are we talking about?
No one knows anymore, Keith. No one knows.
Also, stay tuned. Sunday, Instagram exclusive Pastry Wars video dropping. You're going to be excited.
We
but
need
let's
to
talk
we need
about-
to just start videotaping naming meetings. Those are always fun.
I'm there.
So let's talk Thin Mint GSC. Who has it? Who has it in their glass? I don't know who has it in their glass. Connor.
I got it.
Connor has it. Tell us about this beer. Tell us. We don't. I mean, I think it's in the cold box, but it's not here. So Connor, tell us about this beer. What's Thin Mint GSC?
It's a really good beer. It's got a ton of chocolate in it. You know, I think we did two types of chocolate, so cacao nibs and cocoa powder. It's got some vanilla and then some mint added to it. But it's really, really, if you've had a thin mint, mint's not like the overpowering flavor. It's still a chocolate cookie, and then you kind of get the mint on the back, the finish. And I think this replicates that really well. Like, it's a lot of chocolate up front. It's roasty. It's dark. And then you kind of get the mint notes on the back. It's not overpowering. I think that, the fun thing about pilots is you get to play with stuff. And I think personally, I thought Grasshopper was maybe a little too much mint. And I think this one really nailed the balance between like chocolate and mint. It's actually, I think mint beers get a lot of flack. There's a lot of people that don't even want to give them a chance, but I think this one is worth taking a risk on. It's really good. It's very, very chocolate forward, and then you get the mint on the back end as kind of like a late note, and it doesn't linger on the palate or anything like that. But yeah, it's a really good dark chocolate flavored pastry stout. I like it.
Yeah, I think just to add to Connor's thoughts there, one of the main differences between the original pilot batch for this beer and this beer is that this beer for packaging was pasteurized, prepackaged, where the pilot wasn't, and with that we kind of volatilized a little bit of that mint, and so the mint kind of took a little backseat, if you will. But we planned that through, and we're there ready to adjust. And I think the other thing is, we've made some mint beers in the past, and it's been a handful of years now since one of our biggest ones that we made, but we learned a lot from that. We made some mistakes there that quite honestly wasn't the way we wanted it. It didn't hold up the way we wanted it, so we kind of corrected for those things, and I think we executed a fairly good beer using mint here just recently. And I know Keith just walked away, but he also just executed mint and the Seahorse cocktail beer from True from February, I believe, where that mint was on point too. So mint is one of those things that can go the wrong way really, really quickly. But we've learned a lot. We've made those mistakes in the past, and I think these last couple beers using mint are pretty on point.
Yeah, so I don't know if we can jump in there real quick. So like one thing we found is like not like laying beer on the mint, but actually using like a process to like basically touch the mint and then get it off. And that's really where like the good flavor comes from. It's not really, so basically we can just add the amount of mint that we want and take it off.
I think I saw a really good question that everybody, well, I've seen it come up a few times, but Dave prosed it very well. Is there really going to be a Jeremy versus Connor pastry debate video? Because I'll set my alarm for that. This is contentious. Yes, it's Sunday on Instagram, exclusively
Sunday.
Yeah, I believe it's actually Jammy Jeremy versus Krusty Connor.
No, it's Crumble Connor. Crumble Connor.
I thought it was Cobbler Connor. You guys can't keep your nicknames together.
Jammy Jeremy and Cobbler Connor. It'll also be on YouTube. So if you don't have notifications on, you should do so.
Derek, you grabbed this beer. Everyone saw you go off of your screen, come onto my screen. What do you think about it? Tell us. So, in my opinion, like mint's one of the hardest. It's rare to find like a good mint beer because if you go a little bit too far, it's too much, right? And if you keep it right in that sweet zone, then you have something amazing. And I mean, I'm obviously biased, but I feel like this is the sweet zone.
This is great. Yeah, you got that full body, that sweetness, and it's not too overpowering on the mint. It's really nice. We've also done a girl stout cookie as well. And that was when we first did that was in our Mecca Hopzilla days when we got sued by Godzilla. So that we were also worried about getting sued by the Girl Scouts at the same time.
Yeah.
But instead, they just asked us to donate their beer, or that beer, to a ball they were doing. So that worked out a lot better. Yeah, but we have had to dump beer from putting too much mint in it. Like we didn't have enough. We added a little bit more, and then it just was not drinkable at that point. Mint's a really tough thing to work with because once you go too far, you can't go back. And it's not something that you would, it's not a normal flavor in beer. It's got different sensations. It's a very tough herb to work with. And this is great. It blends in well. It's a thick, really full beer with a lot of sweetness, a lot of chocolate. It's great.
Thanks.
Appreciate the feedback. I think so. Last beer, have we missed? We got everything right. So last beer of the night, I wanted to do Fly Me to the Moon Pie, and I'm not like I mean, you might.
I don't think Keith talked about baklava tart.
Oh. All right, we're gonna do baklava tart. Let's do it.
He just disappeared.
Where'd he go?
Where did he go?
He went down the elevator.
He went down.
Yeah.
Weird.
All right, so baklava tart. Keith Camellia.
What do we? I don't even have a bottle of it.
Well, just tell us about the process. Like, what's the beer? What is the beer?
So it's a baklava style beer.
Great.
Are we bringing them? Oh.
Is that it?
Yeah. So this was so this beer was basically designed by a previous brewer at the brewery. He wanted to do a baklava style beer, so we did a couple different nut treatments. The process we actually started doing with the base beer of Melange 1. So it was a Black Tuesday oud tart blend. I don't know if you can hear me.
We can hear you.
Okay, cool. So it was
Black
Black.
reserve, Keith.
Yeah, so then we barreled that down into another set of barrels, aged that, and basically took that and treated a bunch of different barrels with different types of nuts. And it was pretty interesting because to taste the different nut treatments on the different barrels was fantastic. So yeah, so it was pretty cool treatment. It was fun. Did we crack this or
Crack it.
I mean, but did everybody try this? Is this
Yeah, everybody crack it.
Yeah,
if you
we all
have
have it.
open it up. Let's
We
drink
already
it.
drank it.
I'm
You're
drinking
fine.
it out of the bottle right now.
Yes. So one thing at Taru is like we do a lot of packaging a couple months before so that we have this stability factor, right? So it's been a little bit before since I've tried this.
It's not filled with dead space or anything.
Daniel, why don't you tell us
sorry.
about before?
It's ASMR. What's it like to open a beer? You have to get your cup, open the bottle.
Actually, Connor, you could probably tell us about baklava, right?
Yeah, let's talk to Dave. Where's Dave Jankowski at?
Is it a pie?
It is. Actually, I'm glad you asked, Eric, because it is a pie. I've been to Greece and I've seen it with my own eyes.
I think that's a loose definition
Keith,
of a
I'm
pie,
sure you've
but-
eaten your body weight at Greek Fest up by the lake, huh?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you. The mystery arm just gave me a beer.
All right, so let's talk about the beer though. For real, like Connor, what's a baklava? You're the baklava master, apparently.
Baklava. I mean, I'm not a baklava master. I'm not Greek, but it's generally layers of phyllo dough. You're gonna do some type of nut paste. Pistachios are the most common, but you also see walnuts. Pistachios, pecans. Kind of pulverize that. Mix it with some honey. And then usually after you've made it, you're gonna kind of really generously coat the thing in honey as well. So it's a lot of honey, nuts, phyllo dough. It's a great dessert. I like it. It goes with the month. We're doing a very dessert heavy month. But yeah, baklava is great.
So when you're baking a baklava pie, do you cook the phyllo dough first and then put the ingredients in, or do you put the whole thing in?
I would say
Well,
that
you layer it. You layer it. So you'll put like a sheet of phyllo dough. You'll put some of the filling, another layer. It's multiple layers, and then you bake it.
That's
like
going into lasagna territory. I don't know about
Yeah,
that.
it's like a sweet lasagna. There you go.
Well, lasagna is an Italian pie. It's
I was going to say, is lasagna pie?
Yeah.
Or is it a
Is it a pie?
brownie?
You
Is it a
okay, I'm
brownie?
sorry. I gotta bring us back. I gotta reel us in. So I'm like super doughy. Like you get a ton of dough, like a bunch of like the nut characters that Keith was talking about. I think it's like a weird space, not a weird space, but it's us, right? It's so brewery where this is basically a sour pastry stout, right? And I don't think you can find a sour pastry stout anywhere else in the world. So, I mean, It is a bold claim, but I'm a bold guy. So, I mean, I think it's unique. It's fantastic. I would drink it if I liked baklava. I'm not a big baklava guy.
Well, it's just really interesting the level of sweetness that's still in there for a sour beer.
Yeah,
I think this one we also added maple to it to kind of really give it that like sweet punch that you're going to get from a piece of baklava. That's kind of hard. I think honey's sometimes a hard flavor to replicate in a beer. So I think the maple syrup kind of gives it that quality a little bit.
Well, yeah, honey is just so fermentable. You put it on a dessert and it's a sugar bomb. You put it in a beer and it dries it out.
I'm sorry to do this, but we're going on an hour and a half. Let's keep moving. I want to do
moon pies. Moon pies.
Yeah, moon
Moon
pie.
pies.
This is actually pretty crazy. So this is actually, and I'm not a big Untapped guy, but this is probably, I think right now it might be one of our highest ever rated beers on Untapped. So if you're a Reserve Society,
No, Pyre Squared.
Oh, after Pyro Squared, yeah. Sorry,
Yeah, Pyre Squared is getting a lot of good love.
I just want to say that I wore this because it resembles a moon pie. So I love them so much. So.
Didn't you order some moon pies? You're not eating any? Where are
I
they?
did. Oh no, they're on my desk. I ordered them from Amazon. I'm
Well-
well stocked up.
Don't touch your desk.
Why?
Because
Oh yeah, don't touch my desk. That's my stash.
That's her stuff.
Call me
Dave
first.
said, I found it interesting that 3 breweries within a couple miles of each other released baklava beers this month. I think it's actually really interesting because you can think of, if you're a football fan and you think of like sports, it's the coaching tree. Like this is the coaching tree bleeding down into Orange County beer, and it's cool. It's cool to try everybody's beers, right? Like you have the brewery's beer, you have Bill Belichick's beers, and then you have his coaching tree coming down. But it's there are a lot of baklava beers coming out.
how many sour ones?
None.
one.
Exactly.
Just one, yeah.
Just one on purpose.
Yeah, I had one.
One on purpose.
Ooh.
Damn, shots fired.
Jesus. Fly Me to the Moon Pie. So this is Fly Me to the Moon Pie is basically a big bourbon barrel aged imperial stout treated like a moon pie. So if you ever grew up buying moon pies, I never did that, but I think Jeremy did, is what I've been told. So it's inspired by Jeremy's childhood. So Jeremy, tell us a little bit about Fly Me.
That is so silly.
Moon pies are a huge part of Mardi Gras. They're actually in the law that you're not usually allowed to have a brand name on something. Moon pies are an exception. You're allowed to throw moon pies off a float.
Hell yeah, that makes me so
And,
happy.
Mardi Gras was canceled this year, but people did the house float thing, so you drive around and look at the houses. I was actually handed a moon pie when I was looking at somebody's beautiful house. Like, they're like, wait,
What flavor?
have a moon pie.
Derek, what flavor? What flavor?
Oh, chocolate and marshmallow.
Hell yeah, single decker or double decker?
So you got the marshmallow in the middle. You got-
Upper decker.
So, no.
So we talked
it's like a sandwich covered in chocolate.
Yeah, but they have the single deckers
do-
and
they
then
do
they have
make
the
double
double
deckers.
deckers.
They got an extra graham cracker layer in the middle.
I don't think I could eat a double.
That's next year. Double barrel aged, double decker moon pie.
Double decker
That's
moon
it.
pie.
Yeah.
Sorry, real quick, I need to add a tidbit to this story because the best fucking feeling is when you're standing out on a parade drinking a beer and somebody throws a moon pie at you and you're hammered and you're already 9 hours in standing on a parade route and you just get a moon pie fly to you from the sky. It's amazing. It's just like hell yes.
Dream come true. Dream come true.
Also, if any of you have watched these things before, Keith gets more New Orleans every time he has a beer. So he's like full. He's full like tell me about that moon pie right now.
I love fucking moon pie.
Do your New Orleans accent again, Daniel.
No, I'm not gonna do that.
Wait, Keith, can you tell us about Brothers Chicken? Tell the people about Brothers Chicken, please.
Okay, we'll get to that. Let's talk about Fly Me to the Moon Pie. So Fly Me to the
You
Moon
don't
Pie.
talk about Brothers Chicken.
I love Brothers Chicken.
Sam looks like he has so much to say. Sam, tell us about this beer. What do you think about Fly Me to the Moon Pie? And then, and you know what? You're gonna guide this conversation. I'm not gonna say another word. You're gonna fucking taste it. You're gonna tell us about it.
He's actually gonna mute us.
I got you.
I don't have that kind of creative.
He's got to open it. He doesn't even have it open, man.
Yeah, here we go.
And tasting it. Val, why don't you tell us about? You said you bought some meat pies. How many fruits and pastries do you get to purchase every month to take photos for these beers? I think the people really want to know about the photos.
Grocery shopping is a huge part of my job, and I tend to feed the staff with snacks and healthy fruits from that. But yeah, I spend about an hour or 2 or 3 every month grocery shopping.
Oh,
the photos look
It's
great,
not bad.
by the way.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sam, get on
right.
it.
Let's do this. All right. So, I think one of my favorite parts about smelling this beer is you get that cookie crumble smell right out of the gate. That moon. What is that? What did they even consider that? Is that a cookie?
No, it's a pie. It's in the name. That's how I know that cookies are
called a moon pie.
I
It's
know.
a pie from the moon.
The name.
That's why it's so light and fluffy.
You can just call it a s'more if you want.
Yeah, you could do that too. S'more
You
pie.
get that toasted marshmallow character, which I think is really fun. And then you drink it. It's immediately met with that nice sweetness that evolves into that crusty flavor, that toasted marshmallow. You get a little vanilla. And I think the bourbon character comes more through in the aroma than the actual mouthfeel, but I like that a lot. Is anyone else drinking it right now?
I'm drinking it, but Sam, I want to know
I'm
what would
drinking it out
you,
of the bottle.
if you were pairing this with something, what would you pair it with? Because I would just pair it with more like a second pour of Fly Me to the Moon pie. But I'm not a big food guy, so I don't know the food pairing. So what would you pair it with?
Dang. I love food. And okay, so I'm always the person that when I pair things, I'm like, oh, this would be great with the s'mores. But people are like, that's not pairing. You're just putting the same thing with the same thing, you know? So honestly, I'd probably eat this with some toasted brie, to be honest. But that's preference, I think.
What you all need to do is get a case of moon pies for the tap room, and when you serve it, just stick one on the side of the glass.
As a garnish.
Yeah, it's garnish.
Moon pies are really hard to come by. Val,
You gotta order them
I
online.
just have to
They're not
say,
hard to come by. They just come at you.
I was
They're
in
a southern
California. They
thing.
are in California. They are, and I was very tempted to order the 96 pack on Amazon, but
you have to
I held back.
special request order them. You can't just find them at a store.
Listen, I got you. You want them? I has them.
She's the only California
But
supplier.
I do know from experience you can't garnish with Thin Mints because Thin Mints will crack in half. But I think moon pies will stay. You just stay solid.
They have that density that we're looking for.
They got a little bit of stickiness. They stay together.
Yeah.
All right, I got to end this thing. I'm gonna do a few things. First, I'm gonna let people ask questions, but while they're gathering them, I'm gonna just do a hot fire round of questions for all of you because people just want to hear what you do, who you are. You're interesting folks. So let's start off with
Keith.
Well, Jeremy, wake up. Let's start off with Kelly. So childhood hero, go.
Oh, I grew up swimming. I swam competitively for 8 years, so I've always been a fan of Jessica Long, who's a Paralympic swimmer. She's super cool, very inspirational. That has nothing to do with anything, but caught me off guard. So
Interesting. Connor.
Man, I have no idea. I loved sports when I was growing up. I was big. I wasn't necessarily a Bulls fan. I was in South Carolina at the time, so I was a Charlotte Hornets fan. We had Muggsy and Alonzo and Larry Johnson had the crew. But Michael Jordan, man. Michael Jordan was what'd you say?
Grandmama.
Grandmama. I don't know what that means. But yeah, Michael Jordan, man.
You don't even like
I love Michael Jordan.
You didn't know Grandmama.
Yeah.
Sam, tell us who your hero is. Who was it? Childhood hero.
So I'm a 90s baby. I'm a Power Rangers kid.
Mm.
Green Ranger, White Ranger. Those are my heroes.
You talking about Tommy? He's talking about Tommy. Okay.
Tommy.
I'm a Tommy guy.
Tommy's
Derek, childhood hero.
I didn't know.
You had all this time to prepare.
I know, and I was actually trying to think.
He thought he was gonna skip him.
I stole his idea. Look at him.
Yeah, I mean, Superman was pretty good.
Superman. Are you from the
Really
20s?
inspired.
What's going on here?
Man.
It's from the 40s.
Before I go back, how many plants do you have, Kelly?
Sorry, that's my husband. Get out of here. I actually counted them the other day because I was curious. 35, not counting the one that's his. This little can over here. Look, there is his plant. He gets one.
Oh, that's nice.
gets
I was
one.
actually
You get
just buying
37.
Val time. So Val slacked me and she said, I have no answer for this. And she wanted me to buy her some time. But Val,
That's not true. So it's a tie between Bill Nye the Science Guy and Barry White. Kind of random, but
Right. What were you doing as a kid?
growing up, my parents liked to listen to Barry White, and maybe that's how my sister was made. But also, when I was a kid, I was really into science and science experiments. So Bill Nye is my guy.
You should make your router at home named Bill Y the Science Guy.
Doing
All
that
right.
now.
Jeremy, and then one last question, and then we gotta go. Everyone has things to do.
It's easy. It's the Hoff, and he's still my hero. The Hoff, dude. The Hoff, man.
Yeehaw.
Knight Rider, man. Woo. I went to the racetrack once when I was like 8 or 9 years old, and David Hasselhoff was there, and he ran down the aisle like they had all the kids like line up, and then he ran down and like not high five, but like just fived everybody going down. And I got to put my hand out, and David Hasselhoff like fived me, you know. His little leather members only jacket looking thing. It was awesome. And I still
Did he drive Kid around the track?
No, he didn't, but it was pretty rad, dude. It was pretty momentous for me at that time. It was the Knight Rider. It was pretty cool. And you know what? That guy's still cool. I don't know if you guys are into his music, but he's one of my favorite musicians.
I hear he's really big in Germany.
You guys should check it out.
All right.
Got some great YouTube videos.
I gotta get everyone home. We gotta go. So last question.
Let's go, Sam.
It's been a year. When everything's opened up again, where are you traveling and why? Connor, hit us.
Jeez, I don't know. I'd like to go to New Orleans again. New Orleans is a great time. I used to live in Texas for a while, and anytime I'd be on a road trip, New Orleans was always a place you had to stop. Spent most of my time in the French Quarter, but the city as a whole is a great time. I think maybe that's the easy answer because we've got the NOLA crew on there, but I really do love New Orleans. The food is so good there. I love the food.
It's a good answer. Sam.
Happy back. We're almost ready for guests again.
Sam, hit us, dude. Where are you going?
Oh man, oof, San Francisco. That's my getaway.
What's your spot there, though? Like food or beer? Like, what's your spot?
One of my favorite bars is up there. It's called Holy Water. They do a lot of good craft beer, really good spirits. Cellar Maker is really one of my favorite breweries. Temescal is my absolute favorite brewery. They're out in Oakland. And there's a lot of breweries and a lot of bars to visit. I like tiki, so there's some good tiki bars in the city.
Yep.
Yeah,
we've hit a few of those.
Yeah.
Just a couple. Yeah. Kelly, tell us what's up. Where are we going?
maybe not directly post-pandemic. I gotta build up that PTO, but my husband and I have been talking forever about planning just like a huge Europe trip and just hitting everything. And Jeremy, I know I already told you when that happens, you're my guy for recommendations.
Yeah, I'm
But-
with you guys.
If you go to Europe, you got to get Jeremy's Rex. Like I went to Champagne a few years ago, and Jeremy hooked me up with a Moet employee who fucking showed us like there's kind of like an underground champagne scene in Champagne, and it's like, and they're doing weird shit. Like it's like American burgers with craft champagne, and I was like blown away. And thanks, Jeremy. Jeremy's the guy. If any of you have questions about Europe, ask Jeremy.
Or just questions about anything, it seems like.
Yeah, he's intercontinental.
Yeah.
If you want to know how the government has been propped up in Austria,
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you. I'd really love to know.
tell you about it.
How do you think Brexit is going to affect?
Yeah, well, they're down 6%. It's not working so well. They can't get the boats in. Like exports are down. Like it's not good.
Val, where are you going?
I think you can answer this one for me, Daniel.
I'm going to Japan because I'm
Last time we were in Japan, it was my husband and I's honeymoon, and a few days into our trip, they declared it a worldwide pandemic. So we were there not as long as we wanted to, but of course there were priorities. So definitely want to go back and resume the trip and do all the things that we didn't get to do.
That's awesome. So last but not least, Derek, where would you go? And then give us your like elevator pitch. Why should everybody who loves good beer come hang out at NOLA?
All right. Well, I'm gonna have to say like Asia, Japan. I had to put off my, it was gonna be my main first Asian trip because of the pandemic. So I'd love to go back there. But I'm already planning on going to England sometime pretty soon for a collab. But I don't know. I want to travel again. Yeah, it's pretty rough. And then the last place I went to before the pandemic was Belize, and I want to get back there so bad to go scuba diving, and the food there is amazing. But why should you come to New Orleans or NOLA Brewing? Because it's awesome. We're gonna have music again, and actually we got a concert going on right now. It started back up this weekend. This October is going to be unbelievable as long as the vaccination stuff keeps going as it's looking, because we have basically every festival that was canceled for the last year is happening in October.
Damn.
So you have Jazz Fest, Food Fest, French Quarter Fest, a few other big hitters. Yeah, October is going to be crazy. So we're going to be getting back to the live music, which we're all about. But the food hasn't gone anywhere. There's still amazing food. We still have pretty good beer here too. But yeah, it's one of the most unique cities in the country, I think, and that's why I live here. And you should all come and check it out and see what it's all about.
Cool. Well, it was great hanging out, having beers with all of you. I've never been able to keep this to a happy hour. Like, I'm really sorry. I know I keep saying happy hour. Someday we'll get there. But so long. Great seeing you.
Get Brothers Chicken.
I'm gonna go have some more beers.
Some fried chicken.